Good morning, good evening, good day, good wherever the bloody hell you are. I've been honoured to finally get the busiest man in the world on the podcast. I've got Michele Stellatano, or Mick, here from P.Princi Butchers. G'day, Mick, and thanks for coming on.
How are you, Pass? Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it. Pretty honoured to be here and support this. So yeah, let's do it.
No worries. Thank you for coming on. So for those of us that may or may not know, Mick is actually my cousin, and Mick is probably the busiest man on the earth other Donald Trump right now, who's campaigning as president of America, because Mick is the seventh generation in the family business, P.Princi Butchers here in Bicton. And it's a business that has been going for 74 years now, it's a good business, and it's a successful business.
Yeah.
And we were fortunate that our parents and grandparents and grandparents, have continued to the tradition and on. And Mick, you are now the successor of the business. So you've got the world in front of you, and you've got a fantastic business, and you're fully committed to it. And for anyone that does know Mick, he is just the man. He's the man of the shop. He's the man of the moment. He is really the guy that is going to take that business to the next level, and he's fully committed. And I think for what he's achieved today, he should be extremely proud of himself. And I know that the family definitely is. And we can't now wait to see what Mick does to the business over the next 20, 30 years. And Mick's young son that's going to come through.
Here we go.
To the eighth generation.
Hints everywhere. And I was not anytime soon, guys. Take it easy.
So, Mick, on that, I've given you an introduction, but why don't you tell us a bit about yourself, Mick?
First name, Michele Stellatano. Basically started this journey with my family now for a good 15 years ago. Yes, I was still in school. Getting off the school bus, one side of the family were going home to study, and there was just me behind them all, walking across the road, running to the butcher shop to go work. And yeah, basically loved it ever since. Obviously graduated Aquinas College. Didn't know what to do, so I started doing a few different things. Did a bit of workplace learning in an accounting firm. Worked at a motorbike shop. Loved my motorbikes. And then I got bit serious, and everyone was doing the gap year that year, that time of the year. So I was just like, you know what, I'm not really ready to go to Europe just yet. So I applied for an apprenticeship as a retail butcher. Knocked that on the head for in just under 2.5 years. That was pretty cool. And ever since then, I think the rest is all history. And here I am today, good 10 years later, and yeah, running a family business, which I'm pretty proud of, and how we've come as a family, not just myself. There's a lot of people behind me that, support us and, get on the back of me and, yeah, push this to the next step of our lives.
Yeah, Mick, it's something that we were just discussing earlier, but, from school, you always really had that passion to work in the shop, right? So as you rightly put, there was, some of us that would go home on the same bus, and we'd go home to study or do homework, and you always loved the shop. Whether it be the shop, the farm, or motorbikes, it was just, it was your calling, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think, it's exactly that, because not just in the butchering side of things, I really love the agricultural side of our business, like the sale yards, the farming, rounding up cows, like dealing with farmers. Like I find myself at home when I'm doing that. And then also when you're in a retail business as well, a lot of customers come back, oh, how's Michael going? Where's Michael? They just a familiar face. And I just felt comfortable being there with them, but also just the family as well. Of course, there's a lot of politics in all of that, as we all know. It's not all rosy red, and trust me, it's not. There's a lot of hard work, but I think it's fair to say, while I'm here, I'll say shout out to Uncle Joe, because he's always been my number one, basically, ride or die. Having him behind me and teaching me what he knows has been a huge success in myself as a person as well. But yeah, having good people behind you, and yeah, loving the agricultural side of our business, and if Uncle Joe buys a farm one day and we go down that pathway, I think I'm going to have to shut the shop. But yeah,
Become a farmer.
one day you never know.
Yeah, good, Mick. So obviously the business has been around now. If I'm not mistaken, 1950 was was when the business
Yep.
started. So we're into 74 years now. You're the seventh.
Starting back, basically, sorry.
Yep.
Starting back in Calabria, a little small town called Delianova. P.Princi Butchers started there. My nonno Pasquale. Pastor's named after Pasquale as well, my nonno, our nonno. So it's still there around today. I actually went a couple of months ago now. Yeah, it's just a memory. But P.Princi still exists in our hometown in Delianova. So that was pretty, yeah.
That's correct. Yeah. So the business was founded in Italy. Yep. Nonno come on. My understanding it was the SS Toscana in 1949.
Yep. That's correct.
Migrated to Fremantle.
Yep.
By himself at the time. Worked at a couple of different places before starting the butcher shop himself. Then the balance of the family migrated. Mick, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yep. And then from then on.
Yeah,
I guess that Dad. When did Dad finish school? I can't even remember now.
I think he was
year
like
7.
Yeah, I was going to say year 7.
Year 6,
yeah.
year 7. He felt that was the right time to finish school, and moved into the family business, and he's been in it ever since.
Yeah.
And now you've come through. So I guess, Mick, when you came into the family business, what is it that pursued you? I guess, why? What was your why at the time? Is it because you really, I think you said you enjoyed the agricultural piece,
Yeah,
or you enjoyed the clients? Like, what was it that?
I think as you remember as well, Pas, like we'd finish school and like school holidays, and because I don't think anyone knows this, but we lived honestly 25 meters from the butcher shop to where we lived. So like we were at home. If us cousins were there on school holidays, running amok, watching TV, and then we get bored, we'd just walk across the road and go to the butcher shop, And then if you're doing deliveries, like school holidays, we'll go into the Waroona show, the Harvey show, the Brunswick show, and just jumping in the car and going with, our uncles, or your dad.
Yeah.
And we just, I think getting out of the house and like, oh, you know what, we enjoy this. And then, I don't know, once I finished school, I was just like, I didn't really, know what I wanted to do, but because Aquinas offered that workplace learning, I tried many things in year 11 and 12 that I may have liked, but I didn't really. And then when I finished school, I was just like, yeah, let's do it. Let's make this happen. And I think that's what really, I think the customers, the care and the loving part of being a family, like farmers, they're a family. They're remote. They keep to themselves. The customers that come in, they're feeding their family. So like I always felt like, I want to be a part of others' family as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like when people come in and they're like, oh, can you do this for my family tonight? I'm like, yeah, like I feel, I want to be a part of it. But yeah, that's what really pursued me to do what I do today.
No, that's good. And I think you're right. We've always grown up in feeding everybody else.
Yeah.
Right. And there's a real powerful element to that is, and I think we can both agree on this is, good food brings good people together.
Yeah.
And being
so
the
true.
Provider of that good food is just a good moment.
Yeah. That's so true. I got a lot of customers that have my number and they come to me, oh, how can I improve this tonight? Hey, I'm doing this, like what do you recommend? And you help them out and then they send you a message 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, like, mate, well done. And you feel, I feel honoured.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty cool feeling, and being a part of them, and they put the trust in me as well. I think that's a big thing with our clientele at our shop is P.Princi is a business that we trust the customer as much as they trust us, and they know they can, when they walk into our store, not only the wow factor is they know that everything they buy is done with a lot of passion and hard work and something that they want to provide their family with. So it's basically a family to family situation, So yeah.
No, you're right. The connection is critical, and I think that's
Very.
probably why the business has been successful. Is it's that generational customer base, right?
So true.
Is that a fair comment?
Yeah, that's definitely a fair comment because we get customers that coming in today saying, "Oh, my grandfather knew your grandfather, or my dad knew this person," and you put the family tree together and certain names. When customers place an order and they've got a different family name, Italian name, or where are you from? And then as soon as you say you're Calabrese, it's like, oh my God, what boat did you come across on, and we're straight away, it's all over. Like, what do you need? How can we help you? Like, we want to be a part of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's so true.
Yeah. And I guess, Mick, now that you've now come through the business, I guess that next generation, you've really embraced that culture, right? Both business culture and client culture, and I guess there's a lot of power in that, right?
Yeah, there is. There's a lot of power. Basically, from what we were doing, say, 10 years ago in the business to what we're doing today, I've still got the mentor behind me, which is my uncle. But we do, he's got his perspective and I've got, the new generation perspective, which they clash, but we need to grab the key essentials out of there to go to that next step, if that makes sense.
Touching on that about taking it to the next step, so a lot of the people we have on the podcast, Mick, is, it's about inventing and doing new things, etc., etc. Butchering is fascinating because we're almost going back in time, right? Aren't we?
Yeah,
yeah. So
it actually is.
Why don't you just give some insight into that, and I guess the competitive advantage that brings?
Yeah, so I think because as you walk into our shop, it's very open and you see the environment, like the old school butcher shops where, you got small goods hanging, everything's alive. If we're breaking a lamb or deboning something or preparing something for a customer, the customer can see everything. It's not like today, you hide behind a wall, make the product and walk out the front with it. Oh, it's all done. No, you're doing everything in front of the customer, but they also appreciate what you do for them. So, and they find the trade so fascinating. They're like, we didn't know that you do all this for us, So it's that old school coming back through because everyone's so intrigued, but also saying that is the trade is a dying trade when it comes to that. So it is very hard in one thing. So in a good way, the shop's live. It's 360. You can come in anytime. We always catch us doing something from 5 a.m. till 6 p.m. at night. We're always there doing something. So so all the old school, trade is coming back now, but there's very minimal of us, if that makes sense. So that makes our industry as finding butchers a lot more difficult.
Yeah, and it probably gives rise to a good question is, the toughest challenge you're facing in the business is staff, right?
Biggest challenge.
And it's very rare that you hear one of your mates at school going, I'm going to go be a butcher. Right?
Yeah. It's very, very true. So I think something, we're every 6 months we're trying to look for new staff in the business, and not because they're not enjoying it. I think it comes down to basically the trade, the talent, and also being a butcher is one thing, and then what you learn at our family business is just we elevate the individual to basically get as much outcome as possible for them. So we're always there to better our staff and grow them, but keeping staff today because you can go out and drive a truck for double the money, for instance, is that's where it's at today, and finding the right butcher that suits P.Princi Butchers. We invest a lot of time in training them, but it's one of those things. There's not many really good butchers out there today. So yeah.
No, I think you're exactly right, and I guess again something we discussed earlier is in the business, in the butcher business, you're trying to get the most out of your experienced staff.
Yeah.
Because you can't replace them, and if and when you are replacing them, generally speaking, it's probably a machine these days.
Correct.
And
Correct.
I think we were talking earlier. One of the key suppliers came to the shop and was bought some product, and they were explaining to you that that product itself hadn't been handled by a butcher. It was all done by machinery. And I think the challenge you've probably got is people still want to come and see the craft. So you're going to have to find the balance, right?
Yeah. That's exactly right. The balance in the business is so crucial, in finding the right staff also. But today, going forward, what's the future looking like? Well, machinery, like I've got like you said, a key supplier the other day. I received a product and I was just like, this product hasn't been handled by hand. It's been handled by a machine. So, and these are the big boys, supplying, myself, a small business, small family business. And yeah, it's one of the things that I've got to now pass that product on to the customer. Are they going to come back? You've got to have that real good think about it.
And you're right, Mick. you are dealing with the end customer, they aren't.
Exactly.
And
So
and
true.
they're forcing a product, I guess, per se.
Yeah.
Not forcing, but they're supplying a product that doesn't resonate with the brand and your
Exactly.
quality and consistency. And it's challenging, isn't it?
That's exactly right. And I think that is going to be, you know, our ongoing problem is with these big boys taking smaller shortcuts, because today the supplier wants volume. You know, if I'm buying X, they want to supply Z. You know, it's one of those things. But it also comes down to, you know, touching on produce and all of that is, you know, our beef, the cattle we grow. We've got farmers growing cattle just for our shop, for instance, you know, to keep the quality and the consistency at our grade, because like you said, I'm passing that product on to the customer and I want to make sure they come back into our store. So it basically comes down to consistency, the product they're receiving on their end, the quality we give, you know, we're handling it as the last person, they're handling it as the first person. So it's up to us as a family and the butchers we have in store to make sure we're giving the best product that, you know, backs up that P.Princi name.
So touching on that, the whole, you know, paddock to plate as they call it,
Yeah.
it's something that, you know, our family business has done for so long. Do you want to share a bit of insight, Mick, on what that actually means?
Yeah.
You know, in our business.
So with the paddock to plate, we'll go back a bit. Obviously, Nonno was a firm believer when he was, you know, educating your dad, my uncle, that buying the animal live, growing the animal, then bring it into the shop later on is the key essential of our business. So today I'm very fortunate that I've got my uncle behind me that manages the livestock in the business and deals with the farmers saying this wasn't right, that wasn't right, how are we going with this? And we can go on the farm any day of the week. Like, we're very close with the farms that look after our cattle, because it's basically exclusive to us. Yes, we pay that little bit more, but we can go down anytime, see how things are going. We've got a live 360 of what's going on at the farm. So we are able to communicate well with them, and that quality, you know, when I finish off handing that product over to the customer, I can sign off and say, you know, it's got that P.Princi stamp on there. You know, I'm happy to pass this product on. So Uncle Joe's got that responsibility in the business by looking after the cattle, the livestock and purchasing. And then basically he'll come in on a Monday morning, let me know what's going on. Hey, I've got this coming through. We've got this, like, let me know how it all goes. And the communication starts from there. So we do our best. The feeding program is really, really good. You know, I got a couple of messages the other day direct from the farmer. You know, grass is growing down south. You know, we're pretty happy the communication we have with them, because it just flows on to our customer. And I've got no hesitation in talking so confident about that, because the customers can ask us anytime, and, you know, receiving feedback from them as well. I'll pass that on back to the farmer and we move forward to solve that problem. It's not just, oh, let's do a quick refund and move on. You know, it's not about that. So, yeah, we're pretty grateful to have good farmers behind us, and that's with lamb program, beef program, veal as well. We've got a farmer in Calabaran who looks after all our pigs. So we do deal with Berkshire pigs, you know, award-winning hams or small goods and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It just keeps going. So, yeah.
The list goes on. And I think you keep coming back to it, but that's really why the business has been so successful.
Yeah.
Is you give that final stamp of approval.
Yeah.
And, you know, to the point that you could arguably say any steak in the shop, you know, where that animal has come from.
Exactly that.
Et cetera, et cetera. And that's what people want. And that's what, you know, as a demographic, I guess, in the shop, what you're also seeing is you're seeing that demographic actually now, you know, changing insofar as there's a lot of younger people that are coming through, right?
That's
how important is
that's the probably the coolest thing. What I learned a lot in COVID is a lot of the young crew are coming through now, you know, getting to their smokers, and winter comes straight away, slow cook. Everyone's loving it. It's like, Mick, I need this. I was like, yeah, let's first start. Oh, I watched this video. Like, he did this, like, brisket. It was the best. I was just like, but I want to be that. I was like, look, man, like, how many people? Oh, I've only got 4 people. I was like, this piece of meat's enough for 24, you know? So everyone all the young ones get excited. And I think that sort of keeps me, like, you know, when you're in a business and you work 6 to 7 days a week, when you see a young set of hands come through and you're like, hey, can you help me out? You know, always chatting with the young ones. Because at the end of the day, they're my future going forward. They'll come back and be like, I bought this piece of meat, wasn't the best, but hey, what do you reckon about this? Did I cook it right? Did I do this? We're not all about just, getting the customer out and getting out. What are you cooking with? Why do you need this piece of meat? How are you cooking it? What's your cooking time? Asking these questions with the customer, gaining their trust so they can, perfect that dish, which gives them confidence to cook for more people, which what more do you want in life,
Well, that's it. And I think, like you said, there's teachings and learnings in that. And because it's the P.Princi stamp, it's then a reflection that, it was a good product and it was cooked the way it was meant to be cooked.
Yeah.
And you now build that relationship and that rapport, which is when you talk about generational customers, these are all the small things that keep people coming back.
Exactly right.
Is, people come to the shop 3-4 times a week, right?
Yeah.
Because they love it. All my mates, all the boys, all my extended professional network here.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
They're all, it's just amazing how the business has been, I guess, so successful over the time and continues to drive that customer tomorrow. So, Mick, now that we've probably better understood how it's come to be, where you plan to take the business tomorrow, I guess, or what some of the issues you've got, what is impacting your strategic plan in terms of, I think you've got an aging demographic of staff, and you've also got this inability to replace with the youth. Is there anything else that you can give us insight, people that don't understand how a butcher works, into your profession? Is there something that we don't see?
I think a lot of people don't see what happens, I think, as we all know, after hours and before hours. Obviously, a lot of people, drive past the shop and lights are on at 4 o'clock in the morning. Well, we've got to set up that baby for that wow factor when you walk in, and you're there not just for a kill. I mean, you're looking at other things and always presenting that shop. So the preparation in everything we do. So even like what we make in store, from buying a gluten-free product, that's all handled by man hands. Like it's not a machine that produces that. So going forward in the future, I think definitely investing in machinery. But also,
but it needs to be the right machine, doesn't it?
Because it definitely does.
You're going to lose that touch that you've.
That's exactly right.
That's
the touch,
the challenge.
Yeah,
right?
That's the challenge, is the touch, because we've tried different things, and you get a customer coming in. Hey, I tried this product; it wasn't the same, and that's only why, because we've had another a staff member try it out or try something new and it didn't work. You just get a little nudge, a bit of feedback from the customers. So I think it comes down with a lot of preparation, and a lot of the products in our store is all handmade. So now we're going to bring in machinery, but we've still got to make sure we have the right people behind us operating that machinery so we can keep that product consistent for the customer. So yeah, machinery is a big thing, but like you said, aging of the trade is huge. There's not many TAFEs out there. There's only one in Perth now, and I think that happens once a year if you're lucky.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it remote now, the trade itself. But also going back a step as well with the trade is, not many people know you're not just a butcher. You can be, when you do an apprenticeship, you can be a supermarket butcher, you can be a retail butcher, you can work in an abattoir, or you can do a completely different course, which is just small goods. So when I did my courses, I kind of tackled all four under one umbrella, touched on all the subjects, because that was where I wanted to see myself going forward. So basically everyone now, when you go to TAFE, it's a different guideline. You don't have to work the hours I do. You can go become a supermarket butcher, but you're not, it's cracking a box open and selling the product, But that's today going forward. Not many people want to do the hardcore real deal. So yeah, definitely investing in machinery. But if you have the right young kid come through and you want to train him, yeah, I'm more than happy.
And it's probably fair to say that, as you rightly put, there's only so many prospective butchers here in WA where you're now sourcing internationally.
Yeah, I've gone. Yep, that's correct.
You've gone to Italy, right?
Yeah.
You've gone to Europe. You've gone anywhere, really.
Yeah.
Which is great, because in a way, you're stepping out of your comfort zone.
Yeah,
I'm trying something new. I'm sponsoring someone I've never met.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're still able to bring that authentic P.Princi brand through with the staff.
Yeah.
And I think you rightly put, in the TAFE courses, these days, as you've told me, it's not the way it used to be.
No.
You know, it's not the whole, can you break this down? Can you do this? Can you do that? It's not, is it?
No,
You know,
it's definitely not. And also, just like you said, you know, we've gone internationally now. You know, we've brought an Italian butcher over, you know, great set of hands. But also you've got to pick the right candidate for the shop, you know, because bringing in the international guys, they're good because they're a fresh set of eyes and ideas as well. So what I mean by that is today, when you're bringing in these people, you can train them the P.Princi way to elevate their experience and knowledge that they gain within themselves. But they also come to the table with new ideas to better your business as well. Like, we're a European butcher shop, so I'm going to target that European butcher to come through and elevate our business to keep that tradition flowing, you know. I don't want to be that sausages and mince butcher shop, you know. We want to make different things, you know, involtinis, your Italian meatballs, all that kind of stuff, cutlets, you know. We don't want to stop with that because that's who we are as a family.
Good. So now, touching on challenges you're facing in business, the burning question I've got is, coming through the ranks of a family business, there's a lot of emotion.
There
is probably fair to say, particularly when the business has been around for generations.
Correct.
For anyone out there that's listening that's in a family business, what insight can you give to overcoming that challenge? And I'm not expecting an essay as a response, but is there any learnings that you've had? You've been in the business for 10 or 15 years now. You've now progressed through the ranks. You're arguably sitting at the top now. So what have you learnt? And what challenge did you have in terms of coming through a family business, and how did you overcome that?
To keep it short and simple, I think the biggest solution would be communication within everyone in the business. We've all got ideas. We all get emotionally upset, angry.
Emotional responses.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think cutting that out and finding, when I leave my business, I still can ring my uncle up, and that's the relationship we have is, what are you doing? Where are you? I have a day off, and he rings me, what are you doing? I'm just having a day off, Is that all right? So, okay. It's just a simple thing, and that's the way he tells me, he cares to a degree. So with that is a solution to that is overcoming it is just communication, but also doing what's best for the business, because we all wake up the next morning, doesn't matter how angry and upset, we still come back to the shop and do our job because we know we're here as a team, and having each other is really big. But, setting the right people to better the business, and that's who we are today.
Yeah, so, and I think Mick, we touched on earlier that in the business, yes, it's been around for generations, but it's had its ups and downs.
Of course,
it's had a really, really bad down. Back up against the wall, struggling to put food on the table, and that really then built that resilience within, right, as well. There was that too, wasn't there?
And that's one way we say thank you to our staff as well. We tasted that water in an international business many years ago, and seeing that growing up as a kid, all of us as a family, cousins, we all saw that, and we're like, our parents work really, really hard here, and even from at the butcher shop, the uncles and dads and all that working there, and the girls were all at the deli working. Just growing up and being around that culture, we saw how our parents worked so hard to give us the best education and put food on our table. Now today, if I can do that for someone, I feel like I'm accomplishing something. Even when our staff leave at night times, and as an example, if I get a bit upset at a staff member, or we have a little tick during the day, mate, do you want something for dinner? How you going? How's your day? Let's talk it out. We always try clear the air and make sure we want to bring the best out of who we are to our staff as well.
Yeah, so it's probably fair to say, Mick, the toughest challenge in coming through a family business is being able to remove that emotion from the discussions for the better of the business.
That's correct.
Because, uncles, brothers, cousins, dads, whatever it is, they feel that they've built the business.
Of course,
right?
Yeah.
And they don't, I guess, a way to repay them per se is not just to remove them and go, you know what, you're old, we don't need you anymore. No. stop getting angry because there is a lot of emotion.
Yeah,
When
there
you
is.
build
There's
a
a
business
lot. There's a lot.
from the ground up over generations, of course there's emotion. So the toughest challenge is probably removing that emotion, and you've overcome it by, I guess, ensuring that there's clear communication.
Yeah, definitely.
And as you put, Uncle Joe or Dad is a mentor as well.
Yep.
So you need to find the balance.
Yeah.
Right. That they still play a very important role.
Yeah, of course they do.
Which is growing you and the business, but at the same point in time, they do need to let go at some point.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And also they've been there since day dot. So for them letting go, they're always going to be, coming in on the odd day and saying, have you done this? Have you done that? Always trying to add their 5 cents. But that's just them.
It's a passion, right?
It's a passion. You can't remove that from the business. And that goes same with my auntie and my mum as well in the business. They're always, doesn't matter, I have today off. No, they ring me up. What are you doing? Where are you? They're always checking in.
It's not a job.
So don't stress. Everything's under control. Correct. Take it easy, relax.
Yeah, well, look, for them, it's a part of life.
Yeah, exactly. It's
not
a part of their
job,
life. Yeah, it's not a job.
It's not a
correct.
paycheck coming.
No.
Do your 8 hours and clock off. They've just grown up in it. They've immersed in it.
Correct.
They've all been working in the business for 30 years, if not longer.
Plus,
and it's now just a way of life. So now that you've had the benefit, Mick, of coming through the family business, it's been around 74 years. You've got a good mentor. I guess what tips would you give to someone that's either A, trying to come through a family business, or B, looking to start a butcher?
A, coming through as a young person, coming through out of a family business, I think if you don't have basically not what I've got, but a mentor to grow yourself and the business, I think that's very crucial, because if you're stuck in a way and you can't overcome that, you won't go to that next step in this modern world today. So I think having the right people behind you that want to see you grow naturally, but also when you grow, there's always a challenge in the middle that you need to overcome. And if things are running too good, get ready. You question that, and I do that all the time. The start of the week, it was cruising. Perfect example was yesterday, I was like, all right, this is a pretty good day. This is awesome. 1:30 came. I end up leaving at 6:45. I'm just like, what is going on? How did this happen? So, someone being sick or a business challenge, get ready for it, and stay positive and make sure with the challenge, how you resolve it to better the business and the future of yourself.
So the tip is, I guess, when you are coming through the ranks and or starting a business, it's not easy.
It's not easy, no.
It's challenging, and you need to look at those challenges as a way to better yourself and better the business.
Correct.
Good. Fantastic. And Mick, obviously we haven't really touched on the grey art per se in the business, but I think it's probably fair to say the grey art is actually in your job and what you do. So, you've mastered the grey art through, I guess, Dad's teachings and working on the job per se. But if I was to ask you the question, how do you teach what it is that you do? How do you?
That's a good question.
It's
a difficult one.
It's a difficult question, I know, but I'll give you a hand. My experience in the way you've taught me in terms of either in business or coming through the business or through the craft is one thing you do very well is you listen to a lot of customers in the shop.
Of course, yeah. Feedback.
Okay? Because a lot of the customers in the shop are business people,
of course,
or run businesses. And you've been able to piece that information together, rely on those people, and then you've used that to then educate others.
Of course, yeah.
Right.
Listening to other people, and picking out the key essentials of what they went through to fit in your business, if that makes sense. So obviously I listen to a lot of people and I hang around a lot of good people. I've got a lot of good people behind me, but picking the puzzle, but with these puzzles and challenges these people have had, they've always started from nothing and slowly grown themselves. They just haven't gone from being successful straight away and flaunting it. I hang around people that have tasted the water without it, but have slowly grown themselves out of it to be successful. Because you've got to remember the simple things in life. You can't just walk into the trade and just say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and there's no plan. for that. So having the right people behind you, but also believing in yourself. If you have no belief and no plan within yourself, how are you going to go to that next step of getting out of that? And it's been a lot of long hours and hard work in our business, and, you know, relationships, of course, with people and personal as well, because you got to think as well is when you're in a family business like this and you've got family at home, you've got to be able to turn that switch off as well. So the balance is so crucial, but also finding the time within yourself to reflect and go to that next step.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so reflection is key.
Yep.
Leveraging the relationships you've got both internally and externally.
Yep.
And then ultimately, as you've rightly said, you know, do it.
You've got to do it
and
believe in yourself. And a lot of negative comments that people say, you're not going to do it, or I thrive on that adrenaline. Someone says I can't do something when I know what I'm capable of.
Yeah.
I get,
you want to do it.
Yeah, I'm going to do it.
Exactly right. You want to do it almost to prove them wrong.
Yeah.
Coming through the family business, and you're coming through a aging staff demographic and an aging directorship. I think you touched on earlier that the health of the family is critical. And that's probably what keeps you awake at night.
It's everything, because it's one thing I've learned as well is if you don't have your health, what do you have?
What do you have?
So that's what it comes down to. And, you know, I took a break and I'm just like, okay, I came here exhausted. I'm coming back fresh. And you're like, without my health, I'm nothing. So how can I be better for the business if I'm not healthy? How can I be better for the customers if I'm not healthy? How can I take this business forward to another generation if I'm not healthy?
Yeah, so there's power in stepping away.
Yep.
You know, and it doesn't need to be for months on end.
No.
A week or 2 weeks over the course of the year.
Of course, yeah.
Because I think you said, you know, when you came back, you worked out, well, I've got all these people and I've got these clients and the shop's doing, you know, when you're away with business for 2 weeks, it's just amazing. And there's a lot of power in stepping away,
of course.
Isn't there?
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of power.
So there's a grey art, I guess, in a way, which is step away out of the business, reflect, then come back, because it's a vortex. And when you're stuck in the vortex, you don't know, you can't see these things.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you go away on a trip, you probably go away and open your eyes too, is that you're not sitting there thinking about business all the time, but in a way you are.
Yeah.
And, you know, you're walking through a shop or whatever in Europe and you're going, oh, I saw that, I saw this, et cetera, et cetera. You can use that and then bring that back in. So, you know, I guess there's some teachings in that. So, Mick, I guess in closing, is there anything else that you want to provide insight into, either, you know, guidance or, you know, things you could have done differently in reflection? Is there anything that you'd go, oh, you know, I wish I did this, I wish I did that?
I wish I took a bit more responsibility at a younger age in the business. And what I mean by that is earlier on, when I was obviously younger, taking a bit more responsibilities off the business. But because being in a family business, everyone is set in their ways, I wish I took a bit more workload off them at a younger age, so I could go to that next step a bit quicker. But pretty grateful, like, you know, I'm a part of Inner Sphere as well, which is really good. We catch up once a month. Small business owners, really good, works well. And yeah, we've got the right people and the network behind me. So don't think you're alone out there. There's people to talk to that will keep it confidential. So
yeah, good. So leaning on for others for guidance.
Yeah, of course.
Because we're all rolling in the same boat. We're all rolling the same race.
Correct.
Yes, it's different. Butcher, accounting, construction.
Yep.
You know, whatever. But we are all in this together.
Yeah, you're all in together. It's exactly that. You know, we've all got to eat. We're all having staff issues. We're all a part of one family at the end of the day to take this world to the next level.
To the next level. Oh, good, Mick. Good. So Mick, you've been very insightful. You should be extremely proud of what you've achieved.
Thank you.
I know the family is definitely proud of, you know, you and the avenue you're taking the business on. Where can people find you? If they already don't know where you are.
Where can you find me? Shop 20, 258 Canning Highway, Bicton. Come in store. I'll be there. If not, you'll catch one of the family members. Yeah. Working.
Good. Working on Instagram.
Yeah, on Instagram.
You've got Instagram.
If I'm not working, running amok with motorbike, shooting, doing something.
Doing something. Good. And I think if and when anyone wants to reach out to you, Mick, I'm sure we can make your details available as well.
Yeah, come down.
There's people there that I think family business is one of those things that we're seeing the largest transition in wealth at the moment. And either family businesses are either being retained or sold. So I think there's a lot of people in your boat, and I personally think you've got a lot of insight that you can provide to them. So I'll make sure we make your details available in the links.
Yep.
But thank you so much for
thank
coming
you for
on,
having
Mick.
me. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks, Pass. It's been a really good experience. So yeah, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Awesome. And until next time, guys, if you've got anything that you want to hear more or listen about, please don't hesitate to reach out. It's all about the grey. The purpose of the podcast is to hopefully, give you guys some insight into how business operates and the things that you aren't taught. So please feel free to reach out. Thank you once again for Mick for coming on board. Until next time, I wish everyone all the best.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, guys.